You know that person at work who's been there for 3 months and suddenly thinks they can run the entire company better than the CEO? Or that friend who watched 2 YouTube videos about nutrition and now argues with doctors? Yeah, we all know someone like that. Hell, if you're being honest with yourself, you've probably been that person at some point. Here's the thing that'll blow your mind. There's actual science behind why the least skilled people are often the most confident, while the real experts are sitting there second-guessing everything they do. And once you understand this psychological phenomenon, you'll never look at social media comment sections the same way again. Stick around, because what I'm about to tell you will fundamentally change how you see incompetence, confidence, and maybe even yourself. So let's go back to 1995. There's this guy named MacArthur Wheeler who decides to rob 2 banks in Pittsburgh, in broad daylight, without a mask, just his face, fully visible on every security camera. The police catch him that same evening, and when they show him the surveillance footage, he's absolutely shocked. He says, and I quote, "But I wore the juice." Turns out, Wheeler had rubbed lemon juice all over his face because someone told him it would make him invisible to cameras. You know, like invisible ink? He even tested it by taking a selfie with a Polaroid camera, but he apparently aimed the camera wrong and ended up with a blank photo, which he took as confirmation that his lemon juice plan worked. This story reached 2 psychologists at Cornell University, David Dunning and Justin Kruger, and they thought, wait, how can someone be so incompetent that they don't even realize they're incompetent? So they designed a series of experiments, and what they found changed psychology forever. Dunning and Kruger ran these elegant experiments where they tested people on logic, grammar, and humor. After each test, they asked participants to estimate how well they did compared to others. Here's where it gets fascinating. The people who scored in the bottom quartile, the ones who literally failed, estimated they were above average. Not just slightly above average, they thought they were in the 60th percentile. Meanwhile, the actual top performers underestimated their abilities. But here's the kicker that most people miss. This isn't about stupid people being delusional. The real insight is this. The skills you need to be good at something are the exact same skills you need to recognize you're bad at it. Think about it. If you don't understand logic, how would you know your logical reasoning is flawed? If you can't distinguish good jokes from bad ones, how would you evaluate your own sense of humor? It's like trying to proofread your own writing when you don't know grammar. You can't see the mistakes because you don't know what correct looks like. This creates a double curse. Incompetent people lack the competence to recognize their incompetence. They're flying blind, but they don't even know they can't see. Now let's talk about why social media is basically a Dunning-Kruger nuclear reactor. You've seen these people. Someone reads one article about vaccines, climate change, or economics, and suddenly they're arguing with people who have PhDs and 20 years of research experience. They're not trolling. They genuinely believe they've figured it out. Here's what's happening. The internet gives us access to surface-level information about literally everything. You can watch a 15-minute video about quantum physics, and you'll walk away feeling like you understand it. You don't. You understand a simplified analogy of a metaphor of the actual concept. But that little bit of knowledge tricks your brain into thinking you've mastered the subject. It's like someone handing you a tourist map of Tokyo and you thinking you can now navigate the city better than someone who's lived there for 30 years. The map gives you just enough information to feel confident, but nowhere near enough to actually be competent. And social media rewards this behavior. The most confident takes get the most engagement, not the most accurate ones. So we've created this ecosystem where Dunning-Kruger effect thrives like bacteria in a petri dish. People are incentivized to speak with maximum confidence about things they minimally understand. The algorithm doesn't care if you're right. It cares if you're engaging. And nothing's more engaging than someone confidently being wrong. Let's move to the workplace, because this is where the Dunning-Kruger effect gets really expensive and really frustrating. You've been in meetings where the person who's contributed the least speaks with the most certainty, right? Meanwhile, the actual expert in the room is using phrases like "it's complicated" or "well, There are multiple factors because they understand the nuances that everyone else is missing. Here's the brutal truth. In many work environments, confidence gets promoted faster than competence. The person who boldly says, "I can fix this, give me the project," gets it, even if someone else is more qualified but expresses appropriate caution. We mistake confidence for competence because confidence is easy to spot, and we're often not qualified ourselves to judge actual skill. This creates terrible outcomes. The overconfident person gets promoted into positions they can't handle, makes decisions based on incomplete understanding, and when things go wrong, they lack the metacognitive skills to even understand why they failed. They'll blame the market, the team, bad luck, anything except their own lack of expertise. Meanwhile, the skilled person who knows enough to know what they don't know stays in place, second-guessing themselves, turning down opportunities because they don't feel ready yet. This is called impostor syndrome, and it's often the flip side of the Dunning-Kruger effect. So here's the good news. The Dunning-Kruger effect isn't permanent. It's actually a stage in the learning process. When you first learn something, you go through predictable phases. First, there's peak stupid, that moment when you know just enough to be dangerous. You've learned the basics, you've had a few wins, and your confidence skyrockets because you don't yet know about all the complexity you haven't encountered. Then, if you keep learning, you hit the valley of despair. This is where you suddenly realize how much you don't know. Every answer reveals 10 new questions. Every skill you develop shows you 3 more skills you're missing. Your confidence crashes. A lot of people quit here because it feels like you're getting worse, not better. But if you push through, you eventually reach actual competence. And here's the irony. Genuinely skilled people tend to be more humble because they've seen behind the curtain. They know how much complexity exists. They've made enough mistakes to respect the difficulty of what they're doing. This is why real experts say things like "it depends," and "that's a great question." Not because they're dodging, but because they understand that simple questions often don't have simple answers. So what do you do with this information? First, recognize that everyone experiences this. You've been on both sides. There are things you're overconfident about right now, and things you're underestimating your skills in. The key is developing metacognition, the ability to think about your own thinking. Ask yourself, what's my actual evidence for this belief? What do I need to know to be truly competent here? What am I missing? The moment you start asking those questions, you're breaking free from the effect. Second, be suspicious of your own confidence. When you feel absolutely certain about something, especially something complex, that's your cue to slow down and check yourself. Confidence isn't always a sign you're right. Sometimes it's a sign you haven't thought deeply enough. And finally, have some compassion. For others, yes, but also for yourself. That overconfident person isn't trying to be annoying. Their brain is literally preventing them from seeing what they don't know. And when you feel like a fraud despite your accomplishments, remember that might just mean you're competent enough to recognize the complexity. The smartest thing you can say might be the hardest thing to say. I don't know, but I'm willing to learn.